Hello everyone, Mini here. So this time around, I'd like to try out a new sort of format for a video, now that I've gotten a mic. So I'd like to try to make a game in under 2 hours in Unity. Obviously I've got to keep my scope a little low, though I've gotten a pretty interesting idea in mind nevertheless. So without further ado, let's get straight into making this thing. So I'm going to create this project, and while Unity does its stuff in the background, I'm going to make a Trello list. These are a pretty simple way to manage what you're working on in a project. Now with the list good enough, I'm going to move on to art. In order to save time, I'm going to keep the sprites relatively small and simple, though I think they turned out relatively good in the end. The bullets are sort of inspired by the ones you might find in the bullet hell like Nuclear Throne, and I think they'll look pretty interesting in this game. Now with the base tiles done, I'm going to move on to Unity, and 5 minutes later after dealing with some issues, I decided to move back to art. I have decided to set this game in space, so I'm now working on some moon tiles. At first the craters don't look the best, though after a while working on them, I think they turned out pretty good. Now with everything imported and set up, it's looking pretty good. I'm currently working on a sort of shadow effect. This is to make the objects seem like they're floating just slightly above the ground. Now with that simple script out of the way, I'm going to work on some shooting. The kickback from the gun will also be how the player moves in this game. After a little more work on the gun, some camera follow and a larger map, I think we're ready for enemies. I've decided to go for a more interesting approach in terms of spawning enemies. Instead of spawning enemies randomly wave after wave, each enemy will replicate every once in a while, effectively doubling the amount of enemies every round. So every enemy you don't kill will become 2 the next round. Okay, so I'm about an hour into the challenge and I'm working on a score and death system. So basically the way this works is every enemy spawned gives you 1 point, and a kill gives you 3. I think this should work pretty well with the game, and once I have this done, I'm going to work on some game feel. I made an explosion effect with the Unity particle system and tied it to the enemy and player deaths. And also, the player gun now emits a muzzle flash, which I think looks pretty good. Finally, I inputted some weapon and explosion sound effects. This was the only thing I didn't make from scratch, as I can't legally own any of the tools needed to make such effects. And with all that done, it's 4 PM, nearly 2 hours since I started the project. The last few minutes were a little stressful, though we're finally done, and I'm super excited to show you all the project. The game is pretty fun to play, although the particles and sounds can be a little bit hectic at times. I have noticed that the enemy count can get a little bit absurd if you're not careful, so if I had a little bit more time, I'd probably try to fix it. Nevertheless, I'm pretty happy with what I managed to get done in 2 hours. The code is relatively neat and easy to understand, so I'll probably link the project in the description so you guys can download it and possibly learn something from it. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, as I'll probably have more videos like this soon.